Well, it's pretty fitting that the player who led all major leaguers in home runs entering the All-Star break also wins the home run derby. Congrats to Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, who was able to just get out of the first round, but that's all that matters, as he became the first catcher to win the home run derby. It was a very interesting night. I do have some thoughts on the presentation of the derby. Between whether you want to talk about rules or anything or whatnot, I think the biggest downfall in my mind of what the derby was, at least from a visual standpoint this year, I want to watch home runs, man. It's the whole freaking point, is to watch home runs. And while the split camera between the pitching and the home runs, and then throwing pitches while the ball is still in the air, like I understand that's the structure now, and that's what you kind of have to do because of the timer. But I do really think it takes away from the home run derby experience. Be able to sit there and watch the home runs and watch the commentators and the fans and the players react to each home run. Instead of just kind of, video gamifying it, where you're just throwing one pitch after another, after another, after another. But overall, really interesting derby. O'Neal Cruz had the furthest non-Coors home run at the home run derby with a 513-foot blast. There were some really exciting runs as well. Matt Olson performed really well. James Wood got things kicked off with a really exciting performance. But one player who did not do very well was the player that we were planning here to talk about, and that was Jazz Chisholm. Only 3 home runs. Kind of a bit of an embarrassing showing from him. And again, at the end of the world, at the end of the day, I should say, it's not the end of the world. But I guess if you were a Yankee fan, you were hoping for just a little bit more. At least the hope that he had a shot, but it didn't. Not that he was one of the least likely to actually win it, but from the betting odds. But man, that was a little bit rough. So let's turn our focus away from. There's really not much to discuss on that front. I feel like we don't really need to evaluate Jazz Chisholm's 3 home run derby home runs. So what we will do is we will talk about today's All-Star Game, and we will talk about the lineups for that game, and we will start. Then we'll talk about the Yankees and where they place in it, but we are going to talk about each lineup real quick, just to announce it for those of you that have not seen the American League starting lineup. Gleyber Torres, the former Yankee, will lead off, followed by Riley Green. Aaron Judge will bat third. Obviously, he was the number 1 vote getter, understandably and deservedly so, in the All-Star voting. He will bat third. Cal Raleigh, the current home run leader and the home run derby champion, will bat cleanup. Vlad Guerrero Jr. 5th. Ryan O'Hearn 6th. Junior Caminero 7th. Javier Baez on a little bit of a resurgent season for them, even though he's cooled off as of late, at 8th. And rookie Jacob Wilson will bat 9th, with Tarik Skubal getting the start. There was some talk about whether or not Max Fried would end up getting that start before he had the blister and before he ended up pulling out and being replaced by fellow Yankee Carlos Rodon. There was a nice little story about how Fried called Skubal and asked him if he wanted to start the All-Star game. And Skubal right now is current favorite to win the American League Cy Young Award, reigning American League Cy Young winner on top of all that. Deserved start there. And then on the National League side, Shohei Ohtani leads off as the DH. Ronald Acuna Jr. At his home field bats 2nd. Ketel Marte 3rd. Freddie Freeman bats 4th. Manny Machado 5th. Will Smith 6th. Kyle Tucker 7th. Francisco Lindor 8th. And making his All-Star debut with just an absolutely phenomenal season, Pete Crow Armstrong batting 9th, and then making his 2nd consecutive NL All-Star Game start at pitcher. It is Paul Skeens. So going to be an exciting game. We will see Jazz Chisholm, despite his poor home run derby performance. Jazz Chisholm will play in this game as well. Carlos Rodon will likely pitch at some point. Again, you never you never really know how the pitching is going to operate outside of the starters in these scenarios. Not every single person is going to be able, that made the roster, is going to be able to get into this game. That is, pretty much par for the course. But I'll say this, this is a kind of a good week for a kind of a reset for everybody. And, it's really been an interesting time for the Yankees, as we talked about in the State of the Union on Monday's show. But I will say that the MLB All-Star break is a very interesting spot in the sports calendar for North American sports fans, because the NFL preseason hasn't started yet. The NBA season is over. The NBA draft is over. The NHL season's over. The NHL draft is over. College football hasn't started yet. College basketball hasn't started yet. So this is kind of the stretch where there is the fewest amount of sports of the big four. I mean, obviously, I know the WNBA is playing. For those of you that are soccer fans, there are soccer leagues around the world, but in terms of the big four major sports in America, this is the quietest time around the All-Star break. Today there were no major core four sports aside from the Home Run Derby. Tomorrow, nothing aside from the All-Star game. Wednesday, Thursday, nothing at all. And then on Friday, the MLB schedule will start back up again. And then obviously as we get further into July, you will see college football come back. And then as you get into the fall, you will see the other major sports. So this is kind of like that interesting part of the calendar. And it's kind of almost a sports reset. You don't get, if you're a fan of all four major sports, obviously NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. You want to throw college football in there as number in there as well. If you're a fan of all those sports, you realize you don't get many quote unquote off days. There's always something happening in the sports world, and this is that rare week where there is very little. You had the Home Run Derby tonight. You have the last night. You have the All-Star game tonight, but then you got a whole lot of nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this All-Star game plays out in general. I'm excited to see the Yankees. I want to see Judge perform, see Jazz, see Carlos Rodon, but I'm really kind of itching to get to the next phase, which is the MLB trade deadline. And we are a little more than 2 weeks away from that. We're getting very close to that moment, and the Yankees are reportedly going to be active, and they're going to need to be active. And so we're going to break all that down on the show on Thursday and Friday's edition of the shows. We'll go over some hitters and pitchers, but tomorrow we'll break down the All-Star game. We'll break down the Yankees' performance in that All-Star game. But today, I really wish I had, I was dedicating a good amount of this show to talk about Jazz, and it just, there really wasn't anything in the Home Run Derby to discuss. So we'll keep this one pretty brief. We'll keep it to what we already talked about and previewing of the All-Star game, but we will be back on Wednesday with an All-Star game recap, particularly from the Yankees standpoint. And then later this week will be some really big episodes on the hitters and pitchers. The Yankees have been rumored to target, probably need to target, and what might need to happen for them to be wearing pinstripes for the stretch of this postseason run the Yankees are going to go on. So keep it here all week long on the Bombers Beat Podcast.